All right, welcome to this episode of the Pops and Drops podcast.
What up, people?
This week, I thought we would talk about what we're all striving towards. What is the end game? What would the perfect life look like for you?
For me, particularly?
Yep.
Okay.
There's something different about you. I'm feeling different now that I found you. There's something different about you. Yeah, I'm feeling different now that I found you.
All right. So, what are you trying to achieve?
Superstardom.
Why?
No,
What if you were a superstar, what would that look like?
it would look like an EGOT.
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony.
Yep. That's what I want.
Okay.
I honestly, I just want my music to impact and change people the way that other artists' music has impacted and changed me. I want people to be able to listen to my music. I want millions of people to be able to listen to my music and either escape or find solace or just enjoy it, but around the world and forever. So I'll give you an example. I was in a really, really dark place a couple years ago, and I was just listening to Pandora, and I was like almost suicidal, and Han Solo's Hold Fast came on, and it saved my life.
Okay.
So I just want to be able, and it's not like the lyrics are like, hold fast, things faster. Like, it's not like this epic, like long or big, it's not like a whole lot of vocals, but just the emotion that I know that the song is portraying saved me. And I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to help as many people as I possibly can through my particular medium, which is music.
Okay.
My perfect life would be, and also like what we were talking about last week about energies and like being on stage in front of 100,000 people all moving to my music. Like even when we did the 420 Nurses EDM camp out, there wasn't like a ton of people there, but just being up there and watching people dance to my music was like the best feeling I've ever experienced in my entire life. You know, and when I performed up in Washington, I did the 2-day long thing. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. I mean, that was like a quarantine rave. So there was like 10 people there, but just having them like listening to my music and like loving my music, I was on top of the world. It's the same thing when I was an actor, being on stage, or even when I was on TV shows and having my friends from like high school call me and be like, dude, I just saw you on TV. Like that just, I don't know. It's not even necessarily recognition, it's just, I don't know. I just want to spread love and joy and through my medium.
Okay. Well, your medium also includes podcasting.
Yes, it does. So through this, when millions of people are listening to this will also make me feel good inside, all warm and fuzzy.
Well, why do you have to have millions of people listening to it for you to feel warm and fuzzy?
I don't. It's not even, it just would be amplified by millions of people. But like I have fans reach out to me, people that just randomly discovered me and being like, oh my God, dude, this song fucking slaps, bro. Like there's a DJ in like New Jersey and he heard one of my songs and he like messaged me and he was like, man, I forgot what song it was. It was one of my older ones. Not Fire in the Underground. Time in the Underground. And he's like an underground like artist, and he was like, dude, this song is killer, bro. And like he doesn't have a big following. He's got like a couple hundred followers. He's not like a big name, but just that, when people reach out to me and be like, dude, you're an inspiration, just makes me feel like amazing.
Can you feel that amazing without people reaching out to you?
Yeah, and I do feel that amazing when I'm creating the music
Okay.
in the first place. I'm tapping in, but it's just reassurance, you know.
Do you think you'll ever get to a point where you don't need the reassurance?
Probably right when the reassurance really comes in, when I'm like, when I can't go to the grocery store, I'll probably be over it.
Okay.
You know, like Eminem was like, in that movie, in that Funny People movie, he was like, my life is hell, man. I can't go to the fucking grocery store, you know?
Okay.
But I'm ready for that.
Why? What does it get you?
I don't know. I just feel like I was put on this earth to entertain.
Okay.
So,
Well, you're making music, you're recording a podcast. I'm just saying, if you can you separate the accolades and the admiration and all of that stuff from the actual creation of the content?
yeah, but like I said, it doesn't matter if it's 100,000 people or if it's just one. I just want to be able to touch one person with my music, and that, you know.
Okay. Well, we have at this point hundreds of people listening to the podcast every week.
I hope you guys are enjoying my music at the end,
Yeah.
and our discussions.
So, so people are subscribing and tuning in and regularly listening.
And like I already felt this like a month ago when I started checking my Spotify for artists, and every like randomly every like hour, a couple hours, I check it, and there's at least one person listening. Now there's like at least 3 to 5 at any given moment. Sometimes there's like 20 people listening at any given moment. But just that feeling that someone somewhere in the world
Okay.
that I don't know and that I will never be able to interact with. I probably will never interact with a lot of these people, but someone somewhere in the world is listening to stuff that I made, something that I created.
Okay. So you're there.
I'm there. I'm already there. I'm already happy. So it's about just constantly moving the field posts.
Why do you have to constantly move the goalposts?
Because you have to always constantly have goals. It's important to have goals consistently, because then you become stagnant.
Okay.
If I wasn't constantly striving for better,
Okay, but could you define better as higher quality content rather than bigger audience or more money?
well, I think that's what I am doing currently. Like I'm broke. I got like $100 in my checking account. Like it's not about that. That's why I'm saying it's not necessarily about the money, especially not at this point, because I'm not making any. But it'll come. It'll come.
Or maybe it won't. Maybe it won't.
It will come. It will come.
Okay. At what point? So if there's a trade-off between financial security and being able to go to the grocery store, like do you feel like there's a sweet spot?
Yeah. And I think a lot of EDM artists are in that sweet spot. Because like Excision, who is probably one of the biggest EDM producers of all time, if like 98% of the population would not know it's him.
Right.
But he's got millions and millions and millions of fans around the world.
Yeah.
And like I'd recognize him,
Yeah.
but
Or you could go the Marshmallow route.
no, he's .com. Everyone knows what he looks like.
Okay.
He's taken the helmet off
Before he took it off.
He was .com, and then he put the helmet on, and then there was like a 4-month period where people didn't know who Marshmallow was.
Okay.
Like and that's the same thing. Like his fans know who he is if they saw him but he also just looks like a regular dude. Like I look like a regular dude. So
You think you'll always be able to go to the grocery store?
yeah. I don't think I'll be able to go to the grocery store if like during EDC in Las Vegas. I probably won't be able to go to the grocery store. But I also won't need to go to the grocery store during, or like in Miami during Ultra.
Okay. Well, I would suspect that if your goal is really EGOT, that when you got that achieved, you wouldn't be able to go to the grocery store anymore.
That's probably true. But what I really want to happen, which will happen, and I know it's going to happen, is I want to win a Grammy first. And then I want to make a musical featuring only my music. Like, you know, when we went to the Green Day musical?
Yeah.
I want that to happen. And that's how I want to win my Tony.
Okay.
And then the Oscar I could win from I would really love to be I studied acting in college, so I really want to be a movie star still. But if I won an Oscar from one of my songs, you know, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony, Emmy, that's TV.
Yep.
I could be on a TV show. I've been on a bunch of TV shows already, but I'm never going to win it. But yeah, I could be on a TV show just playing myself, you know, guest star role, whatever. I don't know. I chased fame for so long. Ever since I was like 2, I needed an audience. I don't think that's ever going to go away. I think that's a part of my internal writing on my soul.
Okay.
That's one of my driving factors. Since I was a little kid.
Okay.
I mean, you know that.
I know.
I've always been that way. Have I not?
I don't know if you were always that way, but you got a lot of positive reinforcement when you were little for singing Elvis songs and...
Yeah, but you guys didn't force me to do that.
No.
That was something that came naturally to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just... Could be your soul. Could be. Could have also just been a random occurrence where you just happen to be prancing around or singing or doing something cute and you got a lot of positive reinforcement and you just you started chasing that positive reinforcement and it was for your performing rather than for your, you know, academics or whatever.
Yeah.
I got positive reinforcement for my academics, and so I tried to be a straight A student my whole life.
Why you have an MBA from Georgetown and a master's from Rice and bachelor's from Reed.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I don't necessarily haven't discerned whether or not, you know, it's something that's preconceived, you know, destiny or something that's sort of a random occurrence in childhood. So the nature versus nurture question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even through this podcast, you're doing that. You're searching for recognition through your mind.
I don't know that I'm searching for recognition. Why are we doing this podcast? That's a good question. I mean, we were doing this podcast. My initial motivation for starting the podcast was I was concerned that the intergenerational conflict that was starting to rear its ugly head surrounding the presidential election and the culture wars and the censorship, I felt like people of your persuasion, your educational kind of approach, experience, the people that went through public school when you were going through public school and went through college when you went through college, that if a majority of them kind of had your outlook, that might lead us down a negative path towards, you know, the Max Headroom dystopian scenario. Did you watch, is Max Headroom before your time?
Way before my time.
Do you even know who that is?
Was he a guy on MTV who was like,
Yeah. Well, it was a TV show, and I think it was on ABC, but it was basically a show about when the 3 big communication companies took over society.
Okay, well, that's already happened.
Well, that's the issue, is it's a dystopian future.
Yeah, but from your viewpoint.
I'm just talking about the TV show.
Okay.
The implications of three big companies controlling communications it does not end up in a good place.
Monopolies do not end up in a,
Correct.
it's already happening. Like Disney owns Marvel and Fox and,
That's why I'm referring people to Max Headroom. How can we find reruns of Max Headroom for everybody to see where we're headed and what to try and avoid?
well,
Actually, Max Headroom was a character. I don't even know if that was the name of the show.
probably wasn't. And I think that they cut it and put it on MTV commercials. And that's where I know that from.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do some research and we can.
Like I can see the guy in my head. Didn't he have glasses and a
No,
bald head and was like, ah, 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 ah.
he had blonde hair, didn't have glasses.
But he was glitchy.
He was glitchy.
Okay.
Yes, you got the glitchy part right. And who was the actor who played him? I want to say it wasn't Christopher Titus, but it was somebody like that.
The guy who played a principal in a lot of stuff. I know who you're talking about. And he's bald now.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. He's old now.
But I know who he is because I've seen him in a lot of stuff. And he looks like Titus. He's got the same like facial structure as Titus. So, but I can see him in my head. I can just see the commercials. We need our MTV. Like, that's where my reference is from.
Okay. Well, I'll try and find the original show and figure out what it's called. We can talk about that next week. But so anyway, that was the original motivation, was that through discussions between a millennial and a boomer, we might explore some of the issues that were challenging our society and still probably to some degree are challenging our society. But you did not. So in your primary and secondary education, you were not educated about consciousness, ancient builder technology.
No.
Like you're just taught in public school, you're taught the kinds of things that reinforce the patriarchy.
Yeah. And especially in the public schools that I went to in Virginia.
Well, you say especially, but you didn't go to public school anywhere else, so you don't know that you're necessarily
Yeah, I did.
worse.
I went to public schools in Texas and in Oregon.
Okay, so the ones in Virginia were different?
Yeah, from my perspective, I got a laptop. Like,
So the ones in Virginia were better than the other ones.
they were more in line with the patriarchy. They were more better at brainwashing. But also, like, we got a lot of
Well,
freedom.
you were in different levels of. I mean, when you were at school in Texas, you were kindergarten and first grade, and Oregon was what, 6th grade maybe?
No, 6th through high school was Virginia.
Okay.
Texas was 1st, 2nd, and half a 3rd. And Oregon was 3rd, half a 3rd, 4th, and 5th. My 3rd grade year, school started late in Texas and ended early in Oregon. So, like, I had like an 8th month. My school year was only 8 months versus my 3rd grade year was shorter than because of when we moved.
Okay.
But that's just anecdotal. I had a different experience in Virginia because we all got laptops. Freshman year,
Well,
I got a laptop and we could look up whatever we wanted all the time. And like half of my class was playing video games, like in every class, because when they gave us the laptops, they didn't realize how to put restrictions on them. And then every time they put a new restriction on it,
somebody would figure out how
Yeah.
to get around it.
yeah. And especially at my high school, which was the tech center.
Yeah.
So like it was not like they were learning how to code and break, like that was what they were teaching them. And so like it only took like an hour, and then email circulation, and by the time the restriction was on, it was already like we already figured a workaround. So it was like I had emulators on my laptop and I was playing like Mario Kart in the middle of school, but I still got really good grades. But I also felt like I feel like I got good grades my entire life.
Yeah. I mean, you were late to start reading You were in remedial reading early on.
Yeah, but that all that took was a cute girl.
Yeah.
You want to tell that story real quick?
Go ahead.
So when I was in first grade, right? Mm-hmm. First grade at Love Elementary in Texas. I started first grade, like, didn't want to read, refused to learn how to read. I did not want to read. I did not think that I needed to ever learn how to read. And a couple months in, there was this girl that transferred into the school, and she was very, very smart. And she was put in the top of, there was like different groups. She was put in the top group for reading. And I was like, I want to be next to her. So I came home and I was like, Mom, I need to learn how to read, like right now. And it only took like a couple weeks, and I was already in the top group because of a girl.
Yep. It was a little more than a couple of weeks, but that's essentially what happened.
A month or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, not that long of a period to go from bottom of the class to the top, all because of a girl. But that's always kind of been my motivating factor my entire life with every interaction I've ever had. Like, you know,
Yes, I know.
I've been girl crazy since day one.
Yeah. We've dodged a few bullets
Yep.
of your girl craziness. So the end game being, what I'm curious about is, let's think ahead, imagine, visualize. You've got your EGOT.
Uh-huh.
The
There's a giant wall around this property.
okay, so you still want to be here? You think up here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have dogs, man.
Yeah.
And you guys.
Well, I hope we're still around by the time you've got your EGOT.
Yes. Don't put that out there. You guys definitely will be. Like, I would like to have a condo in Chicago and a place in New York and one in Miami and maybe a place in LA
Okay.
and Vegas. But
And a private jet to fly around to all of them.
well, and then you can learn how to. You gotta get your
Yeah.
pilot's license. You just fly me wherever I need to go. But yeah, I would still like, this is my house,
Okay. Good.
and I want to make money to improve this house and this property too.
Okay. Cool.
Like,
So you're essentially already where you want to be in terms of physical. You just want to have more monetary resources at your disposal
yeah,
to make improvement.
and I also want to help out my friends. Like, if I'm when I'm a multimillionaire superstar, I want to lift up all of my friends too. I want to help them with their projects, and you know.
Yeah. I mean, you could end up getting an EGOT for being producer.
Yeah.
You could get an Emmy for producing a TV show. You could get an Oscar for being a producer on a movie.
I could also stick my own music on that stuff if I'm
Yeah.
a producer. And I have a lot. I have friends who are writers. I have friends who are actors. I definitely could do that.
That'd be ironic. You'd make a good trivia answer.
Right.
Well, because you'd be an EGOT winner, but you wouldn't necessarily be famous because you'd be the producer on the projects instead of like the star of the movie. You'd be the producer of the movie, and the star of the Broadway show. You'd be the producer of the Broadway show or the composer of the score or whatever.
But even if, like on Broadway, if they made a musical with just my music, I wouldn't want to be in the musical.
Right.
I mean, maybe one matinee. Like, I could play one of the characters just for shits and giggles. But
So there you go. Maybe you'll be the first EGOT winner that nobody recognizes.
yeah.
That kind of goes against what you were saying you wanted earlier.
But the universe works ironically. So if
That's
that is
true.
what comes to me, I will be more than happy to accept it. So I'm cool with that too.
That's funny. But that would be a good trivia question.
Yeah.
Like most people know.
Whoopi.
Okay.
Whoopi's one.
All right. Isn't John Legend one?
John Legend is one, yeah.
And Rita Moreno.
See, I don't know who that is.
Okay. So she was like the first one or one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Rita Moreno was the actress in West Side Story.
Okay. Was she Maria?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was in The Electric Company on television. That's what she won her Emmy for.
Okay.
And then Tony, I think, was also for West Side Story, the Broadway. So she won I think she won her Tony and her Oscar for West Side Story.
She could have won a Grammy for that too. Then is that where she?
Yeah,
won a Grammy?
probably. Yeah, maybe. But the Emmy was for Electric Company. Anyway, so Rita Moreno, John Legend, Whoopi Goldberg. What did Whoopi win her Oscar for?
I can see the movie. I can see the other actor in the movie. It wasn't Ghost? No, she wasn't in Ghost. Was she in Ghost? No, she wasn't in Ghost. But I know she has it.
Okay. I was just curious.
I don't remember what I can see her. It's like a movie from the 80s or early 90s.
Color Purple, maybe, or something like that.
Was she in The Color Purple? That's where Oprah won didn't Oprah win an Oscar for The Color Purple? I know Oprah won an Oscar for The Color Purple, but I think Oprah maybe Whoopi won it for The Color Purple. And Oprah won it for The Color Purple too, because she was one of the producers.
Right. I don't know. Okay. Don't know.
Yeah.
But you could be the EGOT that nobody knows.
Yeah, great. I've had a reoccurring dream since I was like 16 of drinking Jack Daniels in this giant Beverly Hills mansion, like with a white robe, and like behind me is like his Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, like behind, like on a shelf behind me, like it's like and I've had that reoccurring dream for a really long time.
Interesting.
But I'm not happy in it. I'm like just drinking a glass of Jack Daniels, looking out at like Hollywood in this insane mansion.
By yourself, unhappy.
By myself, unhappy. Not like depressed though. Like, I don't know.
But disappointed and not what you thought, not how you thought you'd feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's good that you realize that now.
What, that fame and fortune doesn't bring happiness? I know that.
Okay.
I'm aware of that. Happiness comes from inside.
Yes. Happiness, I don't know if inside is the right word.
Internally?
I think happiness comes from eliminating the barriers between your consciousness and the rest of the universe. Yeah. Like the flow state.
Yeah. And I'm in that flow state when I'm making music and when I'm performing.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been there, you know.
Yep. Yeah. It's cool to be in the flow state.
What puts you in the flow state? When are you in the flow state?
When I'm writing, oftentimes when we're podcasting, when I'm helping you with songs. What else? Used to be in the flow state when I was dancing.
Yeah, when you were killing it as Bat Dad and Audiotistic, you were definitely in the flow state.
And I mean, when I was DJing, I would dance a lot too. So when I was DJing and had a really good mix and flow going, and you know, the Trailblazers and the Orlando Magic were standing right in front of me dancing and stuff. That was cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chuck. Charles Barkley used to come visit, and David Robinson, and I was the Clyde Drexler, Buck Williams era of the Trailblazers.
You were using you were like mixing with records?
Yeah.
Like real DJing.
Like real DJing. The old-fashioned way. I earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't let the computer do my mixing for me. It was all So anyway, and then I mean, I guess when I was developing the Pillow Talk format, that was probably a flow state as well. Those were, those were not pre-programmed because we were trying to accommodate the live requests and dedications, and so editing the calls and pulling the music and getting it all lined up and getting it on air, timing the call audio so that it hit the post on the intro of the song, and then laying out the song so that the whole show flowed and all of that. That was probably flow state.
When you were recording those books that you were doing for
Audible, the audiobook narration, not really.
That was more of a task.
No, it wasn't a task. It was just different because I was probably moving into in and out of flow state occasionally as I was doing those. If they had, most of the books that I narrated for Audible were nonfiction.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really a lot of like acting or anything
Room
involved.
for characters and stuff.
No, some of them. There was a couple that I did where there was a lot of character work. So there was probably a little bit of flow state there. Yeah. But for the nonfiction stuff, because it was mostly making sure that, the words were enunciated correctly. A lot of it was technical. So there's a lot of, I did audiobooks on currency, real gold versus, fiat currency and things like that. Anyway, a lot of interesting Audible work. If anybody's interested, you can check out Philip Moore as a narrator on Audible and see the 25 or 30 different books I've done. Some of it was just, crazy self-help stuff when I was first starting out on Audible. So you don't need to worry about those.
Some of them were pretty crazy, or?
Well, I mean, the early stuff when I first started narrating audiobooks, I wasn't being very discerning about the content that I was narrating. So there's, I don't know, the Miami Miracle, self-help, like, how to make money online kind of stuff. Stuff that's not really as full of value as some of the more interesting academic type stuff that I did later on. So there's some policy books, and there's a couple of interesting dramas. So it's an interesting catalog of work.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, there was some flow state involved in some of that. All right, so Endgame. We're moving, and so we've talked about, like, this is obviously my end game because I've done worked for whatever it was, 35 years, almost 40 years now. I mean, yeah, 40 years. I started working when I was 14, actually. So my first job was wallpaper hanger's apprentice. I helped a guy during it was a summer job, new construction in Houston suburbs, 96 degrees in the summertime. We were working in houses that were not yet completed. So they oftentimes didn't have, if they didn't even have windows installed yet, they didn't have air conditioning. So some days when we went to work, it was so hot that the wallpaper glue melted.
Damn.
So you'd lay out a piece of wallpaper, put the glue on the back of it, put it up on the wall, and then it would be so hot and humid that it would just fall back down again.
Damn.
Yeah. And you'd be all sweaty, and anyway. So that was my first job, working with Roy Garrett. He's long dead.
Still
I'm
remember
sure.
his name?
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody that I worked with. Like,
And yeah, so if that was 14, and now it's, what am I coming up on, 56? So more than 40 years that I've been working.
yep.
Saved up a little money and bought this place. So now I just need to save up a little more money and do some of the projects we want to do. But yeah, I mean, this is for 40 years worth of working and saving. This is a pretty decent.
82 acres is, yes. There's a lot of people who have not even gotten close to this.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's a good life. And it's fun to be able to talk about stuff and share stuff. I mean, if there's anything helpful, I guess we should probably do an episode at some point about stuff that I've learned that might be helpful to other people. Marketing type stuff or
Yeah.
modeling, statistics, AI, data science.
Well, you've kind of salt and peppered that in throughout all of them, but yeah, it would be good to do a whole episode on that.
Okay. All right. Well, if anybody wants to make a suggestion, you can email us at popsanddropspodcast@gmail.com if there's specific questions about, the cutting edge of marketing and what people are up to these days and how you're being tracked and how that's being used.
Or if you're watching on YouTube, comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
There we go. Yeah. We don't do a lot of self-promotion on this podcast.
We need to.
So yeah, there's the Pops and Drops podcast at Gmail email you can use,
Contact us through the website too.
popsanddrops.com,
N, right?
Pops
Drops.
Pops and Drops.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so we're 65 miles from Mount Adams, which is where the ECETI Ranch is. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
So if you look up ECETI Ranch on YouTube and you watch any of the video, they have a lot, maybe it's just in the summertime, I don't know, but they have a lot of activity in the skies above Mount Adams that they have on video. I wonder, we should be able to see it from here.
Yeah. On a clear night.
Yeah. So,
Or you just got to walk out your back porch, man. You got a good.
I know.
Do you have a good view of which one? There's one that's blocked by that giant tree. That's not Adam.
St. Helens.
That's St. Helens. It's blocked. Mm-hmm. Or you can see them off of my back porch. You can see everything off of my back. I got the killer view. You got a good view, but I got the baller view.
Yes. Yeah. So at some point you might want to hang out on your porch
Well, in the summer,
watching Mount Adams
in
and
the
seeing
summer
if
I usually do. In the summer, and last summer, or the summer before that, that's where I like to blast my music and make music and listen to music because I'm on the porch, just because it's good.
So I think, there's some, I think there's some connection between the focus and attention of a community of observers. So people go to ECETI Ranch, they do group meditations, they attempt to call extra dimensional or stellar
Things.
things, people, beings. And they come and they capture them on videotape. So that's, you can see that on YouTube. And then I wonder if that is only, if only the people that are there that are participating can actually see it.
Well, like we talked about last week, maybe they can only see it because they are the ones that are entering that
Universe
where that is there, right
No,
there.
that's visible.
Right then.
Interesting. All right. Well, maybe we'll have to. ECETI Ranch probably has a website, and we could figure out when they're having a retreat
Yeah.
and when those people are going to be out meditating, and we can try and spy on on their group meditation and see if we can see anything in the sky from here.
Or we could go and join them.
That too.
Like if it's only an hour away.
Yeah. Anyway.
If aliens came down and asked, I think I've asked you this before. They came down and said, "You want to go see the universe?" Would you go?
Yeah. Probably. No grandkids to worry about.
Not yet. You're okay leaving me and Taylor, but like the grandkids, you don't want to leave? They came down and said that I'd have to, if they came down and they're like, "Do you want to go? But you can never come back." I would be like, I'd be gone. Like, I love you guys, but I want to see the universe. I want to live for like thousands of years and I want to see everything.
Well, your soul will.
I know, but I want this version of me to see as much as I possibly can.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe my future soul, or maybe my soul chose to live in this time, in this period, so that my future soul would appreciate being able to see the universe.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Like we're on the verge.
Yeah.
But I think as soon as you pass out of this physical body, you will see the universe.
Yeah, that's also true. But again, it's about maybe it's about appreciation. I don't know. I think this is a very, very, very exciting time to live, and I feel very blessed to be born in this life, in this body, in this time, in this.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's very cool. I mean,
so you're full of love, gratitude, and beauty. So you're transformational.
Yes. Love, gratitude.
Love, gratitude, beauty equals transformation.
Yeah.
Hashtag LGBT community.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, I remembered, I mean, I know this is not a big deal from your perspective, but like, I remember dial-up internet, and I remember, I think I'm the last generation that like seriously actually like played outside.
Could be.
Like,
yeah.
And I was also the generation where I didn't have I had a cell phone when I was in like 5th grade, but it wasn't like a cell. That's just because mom couldn't handle me walking to the bus stop without being on constant communication with me. Crazy. But like, we weren't living in our phone. When I was a little kid, I wasn't living in my phone.
No, you probably used your phone twice a day. In the morning when your mom called you, and in the afternoon when your mom called you.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Even in high school, when I had a cell phone, we didn't have apps and like, or,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Definitely a different world.
Yeah. Completely different. I remember when TV was actually on a schedule, like where we had to gather around to watch Friends every Thursday night at 8:00. Even small stuff like that, It was a completely different world, and and we were like, that's what I'm saying. We're right. You were saying it. We're right on the precipice, and like things are becoming, and everyone is awakening and opening up spiritually. And things are going to become and continuously become so much cooler.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're right there. As long as we can resist the urge to go back and let the patriarchy dictate who we hear, or what we think, what we say, we have to fight that.
Well, yeah, but that's what the internet is there for. As long as they don't restrict the internet, That's the scariest thing.
But what Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and those big tech companies are doing is restricting the internet.
Yeah, but Google is still available. Like
Google's doing it too. That's why you got to use Quant or DuckDuckGo or
But I'm saying those are still available. They're there.
Available. Yes.
So like anyone,
But the more people that use those alternatives, the more Google will learn its lesson.
Yeah.
Find an alternative. Quant's pretty good. I use Quant every once in a while. And then the Brave browser instead of Chrome.
Okay. I downloaded that like 10 years ago. I downloaded the dark web browser, and I went on the dark web and I got scared and I deleted it.
That's probably good.
I got really scared. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I went on this website, and the website was like, you can order a credit card that's linked to somebody else's credit card. And
Damn.
like, use it up to like $1,000. And the credit card, it was only like $35. And I was like very tempted, but I was like, no, this is scary. They're going to find me. I ain't going to do this. So, and I deleted the browser. I don't even have that laptop anymore.
It's probably the one with your Bitcoin password on it.
Yeah, it probably honestly was, because that is why I got Bitcoin, was to use it on the dark.
What did you do with that laptop?
It's gone, man.
Okay.
I have no idea. I probably pawned it at some point.
Great.
I'm very pissed off at myself. I'm very upset at myself about that, but whatever. I should have also listened to Harry, like, at Christmas. He told me to buy GameStop at Christmas
Oh, interesting.
when it was like,
4.
yeah.
Huh.
And he's got a lot. I don't know. I don't know if he's cashed out yet. He probably cashed out when it hit like 500.
I thought the highest it got was like 350.
No, it got to 500 for like a couple hours.
Okay.
And then it dropped back down to 3. Now, the last time I checked, it was in the 200s. But I bought it when it was under 100.
If you were saying that if they came and said, you want to go see the universe, you would take off and go.
Yes.
And that's what I think.
Taylor wouldn't.
Okay.
Mom wouldn't.
Interesting.
Taylor's like, I've already seen the universe. I've done psychedelics.
Which to some degree is probably true.
Yeah. I mean, I met the Machine Elves
Yeah.
when I did DMT. Mm-hmm. That was crazy.
I saw an interesting lecture on, it was on YouTube the other day. It was coming from Harvard. It was presented by the Psychedelics Club of Harvard. And it was actually from a guy who, I think his organization's called Qualia Research. And he had interviewed a bunch of people about their different DMT experiences and had started to quantify from his interviews the different stages that are associated with different levels, milligram levels of DMT.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video?
I watched DMT, the spirit molecule, though.
This was essentially, he was saying, is there a way to quantify how high someone got on DMT based on what their experiences were?
Yeah.
And he did. I mean, he's interviewed dozens of people about probably hundreds of DMT trips at this point, and he basically quantified different stages of the experience, and what kind of milligram levels each of those levels was associated with, and then the pattern of accelerating up to whatever level you get to. I guess.
Blast off.
Yeah, he called it breakthrough. I think was the top.
Feels like a blast off. Feels like you're strapped to a rocket and instantly shot to another dimension.
Okay. And then
in that dimension, it feels like you're there for like years and it's only 10 minutes.
okay.
But you don't realize that until after you're back.
Okay. Interesting.
That's just my personal experience when it happened to me. Like, it was insane.
What did you see when it first started? Do you remember?
It was just like, it's not really seeing. It's more. I mean, it's more of like an internal thing. It's like your eyes don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just it was just white light, and then it was like every color you can like colors that you can't even imagine, and then like just these weird. It was like these weird other. I mean, there were these weird otherworldly beings. I can't even explain. It's like they've got like 50 million faces and constantly moving and.
Yeah. He called that the waiting room. He's so that.
Okay, well, in the waiting room, they bestowed many lessons upon me.
Yeah.
If there's another level beyond that, there probably is.
He said the waiting room comes before breakthrough.
Huh.
That once you get to breakthrough, there's no more beings. At that point, it's just all pattern and depth. So it's interesting because he talked about the different kinds of tessellated patterns, so the first, he said, as you're 0 to 5 milligrams, you're seeing kind of these patterns that are like, he called them wallpaper, like a desktop background, and that they're pretty simple and that they're in Euclidean geometric space, so they can fit on a plane, and they may have movement, but it's simple geometry. And then as you go from 5 to like 10 milligrams, then the geometry moves from the Euclidean geometry into this, I can't remember what he called it, but a new, not holographic, but a different kind of geometry that's more third dimension, and you can't fit on a flat space anymore. And then there's chrysanthemum, where the patterns start to emerge, kind of the fractal patterns. And then after chrysanthemum is the waiting room, where you start to actually see beings. And then after the waiting room is where breakthrough happens. And then it's totally like just into unexplainable depths of pattern that, is like those, what's it called? Those books where there's 3D pictures, but it's in the weird patterns. You almost have to cross your eyes to see the picture come out of it.
Yeah.
So he said that's one of the stages too, is where you start to see patterns like that, where you.
Well, I saw that behind and in the beings.
Right. Okay.
Like their skin was made of that.
Yep. That matches up with what he was saying.
It was insane. But it also felt like it felt more real than this. It felt like I'd been, like, that's where I belong.
Uh-huh.
Like this isn't real. That's real. That's what it felt like. I was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm home. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And then I shot back down and I was like, holy shit. And they told me stuff that they also told me that I can't tell people what they told me, or it won't happen.
Okay.
They're like, all this cool shit's going to happen, but if you tell anybody, it's not going to happen. I was like, okay, I'm not going to tell anybody. Like, but it's not like they were communicating with me. It's like I didn't hear them.
Yep. You just knew.
But they were communicating with me.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird. It's like they plugged something into my brain and was like I don't know how else to describe it, because it also wasn't like they were saying words to me. It's like they were showing me. It's like they were like showing me a movie of all this cool stuff, but it was like instantly all these things were happening at the same time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A universe of possibilities.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome. It was very, very cool. And I liked it more than like mushrooms and LSD because it was quick, but I got everything that I needed to get.
Okay. So what was the setting for your DMT experience?
Taylor's living room.
Okay. So that was a safe space.
Yeah. Yeah. I was definitely in a very safe space. Like, I would not want to do that. Like, there were people at EDC who had DMT pens and stuff, like vape pens, like, but with DMT in them. I would never want to do that there, ever. Like, no. I would also never want to do. That's what I don't understand. Like, when ravers go and they like take acid and stuff at festivals, I'm like, you're missing out on all of this. Like, this is it. Why are you trying to escape this? Because drugs, I feel like a lot of drugs are an escape.
Right.
So when you're in the awesome place, why would you want to leave it? Like, don't you want to remember this? Like, that's why also I don't really get like EDC, the first EDC I got, I drank a little bit and I ate some edibles. But then like that on the first day and the second day, I was like, I'm not doing anything, man. I'm here. Like, this is the best place I've ever been in my entire life, and I never want to leave. Like, I don't understand why people want to do mind-altering things when you're in the awesomeness.
Yeah.
You know?
The experience itself is mind-altering.
And it's like, it really is a high. Like, it really is. It's like the best high ever. Being in a crowd of 100,000 people, I have never felt better. I know I will feel better when I'm up on stage, in front of 100,000 people. I know that that's like the only other place that's better.
Okay.
But even after I'm up on stage, I know I'm going to want to come back to the crowd and watch other artists. Like a lot of other, like Bass Canyon and EDC, like other DJs are walking around, you know, because they want, and that's the other thing like we were talking about earlier. It's like, not getting recognized and all that sort of stuff. Like in EDC, when you see, like, I think I saw Black Tiger Sex Machine, BTSM, walking around in EDC. And I recognized them and I was like, hey, what's up? And they're like, nothing, cool. Like, it's not like, oh my God, you know, it's not, because they're there to experience the same stuff and they don't want to be bothered, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
So in that movie XOXO, is that what it was called?
What movie?
The one that was sort of loosely based on EDC?
Yeah, well, there's Under the Electric Sky, which is the documentary about EDC, and then there's XOXO, yeah, on Netflix, about a festival, about a music festival. It's not about EDC particularly, but they're all like that.
Right. So there was kind of a backstage area where the DJs could hang out with each other that was sort of separate from the crowd.
Yeah.
You think that's the way it really is?
I know that. I mean, there is that. When I worked Bass Canyon, I was back there.
Okay.
You know? And the day after, when I helped break everything down, I got to go into all their trailer. I got to go into the trailer and like smoke weed with the person. I don't want to share who they are. But yes, and we had like professional catering. Like when I went after Bass Canyon the next day, I helped and I broke down everything. But they still had the artist like catering set up. Because it was the morning of the next day. And so they still like the chef there preparing, you know, like steak and eggs for people and
That's cool.
like like real good food. So, yeah. But the artists chill back there, but then they also go out into the crowd.
Okay. So do you think Ultra will be the first festival that you get invited to?
Maybe.
I mean, that's your music label connection, right?
Yeah. They have Big Tunes has connections with Ultra. I think Blanco has connections with a bunch of festivals in Spain.
Oh.
Because Blanco is the biggest EDM label in Spain.
So your first live festival performance might be across the pond.
Could be. Yeah. That would be very cool.
Okay. Well, we'll have to look forward to that. And I guess this song that we're going to play might be one that's in your set.
Yeah. So we're going to do Master Swag, which is a song I made with a artist named Miss Wonderland. Kind of, she started a lot later than I did. She started she's like a DJ who is now getting into producing. So I made this with her, and it's about, if you listen to the lyrics, about walking with the orphans and like taking people underneath your wings. And so the song is kind of an ode to
your relationship.
Yeah, a little bit with her. And and just the relationship that everyone, when you reach a certain level, and no matter your profession, you should, try to lift up the people who are learning.
Pay it forward.
Because then ultimately they will help you out. And that's why it's called master swag. It's about being a master and helping an apprentice.
Sounds good. See you next week.
Adios.
Closer.
Oh, you got, baby.
Walk with the off. Walk with the off. Walk with the off. Living in the days of the torture. Morbid contortions of flawless divorces. All of your core forces now.
I'm a little bit of trouble.
Mind over matter, this dapper is so awesome. Bigger than Jordan's chest. Walk with the orphans, yes. Walk with the orphans, yes.
Oh, you got, baby.
Flee from the rhythm as I'm out of the margin. Peace to my rhythm as I christened departed. Meet thy affliction in the vision of darkness. Smash through the prison and I kill him to rotted. Brash with my diction, slick talk to minimal. Lost soul commits all 360 physical. Raw throws quotes from the 90s spiritual. Flee from the rhythm as I'm out of the margin. Flee from the rhythm as I'm. Flee from the rhythm as I'm. Flee from the rhythm as I'm out of the margin.
Oh, you got.
I'm in trouble. I'm a little bit of trouble. Baby,
Much more than a talk from a pulpit. Mind over matter, this dapper is so awesome. Bigger than Jordan's chest. Walk with the orphans, yes.
do you remember?
Yes,
Do you remember?
yes.
Do you remember?
Walk with the orphans,
Do you remember?
yes.
Do you remember? I'm in trouble. Do you remember? I'm a little bit of trouble. Do you remember? You asking for a little trouble. Do you remember? I'm a little bit of trouble.
Oh, you got, baby.
Do you remember? I'm a little bit of trouble. Do you remember?
Living in the days of the torture. Morbid contortions of flawless divorces. All of your core forces now.
I'm a little bit of trouble.
Mind over matter, this dapper is so awesome. Bigger than Jordan's chest. Walk with the orphans, yes. Walk with the orphans, yes. 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 Walk with the orphans.